The night was colder than usual, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes you feel invisible to the world. On the edge of a quiet town, a young girl, barely 18, sat on a park bench with a tattered backpack clutched to her chest. Her eyes carried the weight of storms she never asked for, storms that had ripped her away from the comfort of family, trust, and home. She was alone, frightened, and running out of places to go. A few blocks away, inside a modest but warm little house, a single father named Daniel was tucking his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, into bed. His life was simple: work long hours, rush home to be a present father, and pray every night that he could fill the gaps left by his late wife's absence. What he didn't know was that tonight, fate had already written an unexpected chapter for him. A chapter that began with a frightened knock at his door. If you're new here, this is Whispers of Kinness, a place where stories of love, hope, and humanity come alive. If this story already has your heart beating a little faster, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive and reaching others who need a spark of hope. When Daniel opened the door, he found her. The girl was trembling, her lips pale, her clothes soaked from a drizzle that had just swept through the night. Her voice was shaky, almost inaudible, but her words were clear enough to pierce his heart. "Please, I have nowhere else to go." Most men would hesitate. Most would turn her away, afraid of the risks, of what people might say, of the unknown. But Daniel saw something different, maybe because he too knew what it meant to feel abandoned by life. He stepped aside without another thought and said, "Come in. You look like you need warmth more than anything else right now." The girl introduced herself as Emma. She was 18, just finished high school, but her story was not like most teenagers her age. Her parents had cast her out after a bitter fight, one that cut deeper than teenage rebellion. She had been misunderstood, judged too harshly, left to fend for herself with no money, no safety net, no one to call. Her eyes filled with tears as she spoke, but Daniel didn't press her for details. Sometimes, kindness doesn't ask for explanations. Sometimes it just listens. That first night, Emma slept on the couch, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of home, cooked meals and laundry detergent. For the first time in weeks, she slept without fear of the streets. Over the next few days, Emma slowly began to unfold. She helped around the house, washed dishes, and played with little Lily, who had instantly taken a liking to her. For Daniel, the presence of this girl stirred a mixture of emotions: protective instincts, empathy, and a quiet ache. He knew he couldn't be her savior, but maybe, just maybe, he could be her shelter for a while. Still, the world outside their door wasn't as forgiving. Gossip spread quickly in small towns. Neighbors whispered about the single father housing a teenage girl. Judgmental eyes followed Emma whenever she stepped out, painting stories they didn't understand. Daniel heard the whispers too, but he chose silence over defense. He knew the truth, and sometimes the truth is only visible to those willing to see with their hearts. The real turning point came one evening when Emma broke down at the dinner table. She confessed everything: the suffocating home she had escaped, the betrayal of those she thought would protect her, and the nights she had wandered streets that could have easily swallowed her whole. Her voice shook, but her honesty was raw, powerful, and heartbreaking. Lily reached out with her tiny hand and said softly, "Don't cry, Emma. You're safe now. Daddy makes everything better." And in that moment, something shifted inside Emma. For the first time, she believed it. Life wasn't perfect, but slowly, Emma began to rebuild. Daniel encouraged her to pursue college applications, even drove her to interviews when she doubted herself. Lily, in her innocent joy, became Emma's anchor, reminding her daily that family isn't always blood, it's love, trust, and kindness. But storms don't disappear forever. One day, Emma's parents showed up at Daniel's door. Their faces were stern, voices sharp, accusing him of overstepping, of corrupting their daughter's path. It was the moment of truth. Daniel stood tall, not as a man caught in scandal, but as a father who had seen what abandonment does to a soul. "She's not just a girl who knocked on my door," he said firmly. "She's someone's daughter. And while you were busy pushing her away, she was breaking. If giving her a safe place makes me guilty, then I'll take that guilt proudly." The confrontation ended not in reconciliation, but in clarity. Emma realized she couldn't wait for her parents to understand her worth. She had to create her own path, supported by the unlikely family who had stood by her when no one else did. Months turned into years. Emma worked hard, earned a scholarship, and stepped into the world not as a lost girl, but as a strong young woman who had been given the rarest of gifts, unconditional kindness. And Daniel, he never saw her as a burden. In many ways, she became the daughter he never had, and in her resilience, he found healing for his own wounds too. Before we wrap up, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit like, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your voice keeps these stories alive and spreading hope. In the end, what happened wasn't scandal or chaos, it was transformation. A single dad opened his door, and in doing so, he opened his life to a new kind of family. A scared, broken girl found not just shelter, but love, safety, and a reason to believe again. And maybe that's the quiet lesson hidden in this story. Kindness doesn't always change the whole world, but it can change someone's world completely. One open door, one act of trust, one whisper of kindness. That's all it takes to turn a life around.